Hello and welcome back to your geography class. We are going through chapter number 2. And within the continuity of the chapter's discussion, today we have to start at topic 3, part 3. So within this, we are entirely going to discuss about the concept of water. In the terms of water, there is fresh water present on the earth, there is salty water present on the earth. So what is the ratio of the fresh water, salty water? Also, whatever other concepts are there related to the water, that we are going to discuss in today's class. So water is a very important, vital, very important renewable that can be renewed easily. So water is a vital renewable natural resource, and 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered by the water. For that concern only, the earth is also considered as water planet or blue planet. How so blue? You can see in this image. Majority of the color that you can observe is blue. As the image of the earth is observed from the universe itself, outside the earth's horizon. So from there, it looks like a blue ball. That's why it is also to be considered as a blue planet or the water planet, because of the abundance of the water that is present on the surface of the earth itself. So life began in the primitive oceans. So the first ever life that began on the earth, according to the scientists, it began in the oceanic body, and the time period is 3.5 billion years back. Even today, the oceans cover 2/3 of the earth's surface. It supports a rich variety of plant and animal life. So we are here by talking about the plant and animal life that is present inside the water body, and that water body over here is about oceans and seas, of course. Other water bodies do comes in that, but particularly over here we are discussing about the major water bodies. So there is the presence of fresh water, but it is present in very less amount. So how less is this amount? Let's discuss that. The ocean water is saline. It is salty. And for the salinity of the water, there are various reasons. Evaporation is among one of them. Then minerals are found within the water body itself. They are also somewhat responsible for the salinity of the water. Likewise, there are other concerns that are responsible for the salinity of the water, of the oceans particularly. And moreover, they don't have the outlet of the water, because oceans are the largest water body present on the earth. If there was to be an outlet, so we can consider that the salinity of the water would not be into that account. So the ocean water is saline and not fit for human consumption, because excess of everything is bad. So extreme, salinity of the water is an extreme within the ocean. So it is not at all fit for consumption or for the human body. So fresh water accounts for only about 2.7% out of the 100% water present on the earth. Hardly 2.7% water is consumable. But wait, this is not the exact ratio that we can consume. Reasons will be discussed. So nearly 70%, that is about 97% around of the fresh water occurs as ice sheets and glaciers. Out of that 97%, that is the saline water, and 2.7%. Out of that 2.7%, 70% is not the saline water, although it is the frozen water, because it is present in the ice sheets and the glacier. And these ice sheets and glaciers are present in Antarctica, Greenland, and the mountainous regions all over the world. So due to their location, they are inaccessible. So we can't use, out of that 2.7%, 70% of the water cannot be used. So only 1% of fresh water is available for our consumption, for the human's consumption. It is found as groundwater, surface water in rivers and lakes, and water vapor in the atmosphere. So fresh water is the most precious substance on earth, as water is one of the prominent basic necessity for the survival of human beings. And as we have discussed that water is a renewable natural resource, it can be renewed easily. So this is the process that is responsible for that renewability on majority count. So the process is water cycle. I hope everyone knows, if not in detail, in brief, because you have already discussed in the primary classes. Still, let's discuss. So this is an overview with the help of an image. As more will be the temperature on the earth, particularly in the summer. So if the water body is present, it will lead to the more evaporation process. Then the condensation process takes place, collection of water, evaporation, more the sunshine, condensation process, formation of the clouds, and finally the precipitation takes place. So likewise, this water cycle keeps on working throughout the year, since centuries, since the origin of the earth, and don't know up to what extent it's going to exist. Of course, up to the last day of the earth, you can say. Now the descriptive part. So water can neither be added nor subtracted from the earth, but it keeps on going on with the help of the water cycle. Its total volume remains constant. It doesn't change because we can't reduce, we can't add. Whatever is being added, that is being used. So neither the subtraction nor the addition. Its abundance only seems to vary according to our concept. Reason is it constantly cycles through oceans, air and land via evaporation. Oceans from the water body where the collection of water is there, air now where the condensation takes place, and land where it is received in the form of precipitation via evaporation, precipitation and runoff part. So this is the concept of water cycle, and one of the prominent factor, actually on majority basis, this is the factor that leads to the availability of water that is present on the earth forever and since the beginning itself. So consumption of water for human use. As the water cannot be added, cannot be subtracted. Whatever is to be added, it comes in use. So we are talking about that usage. So according to the survey that was done for whatsoever concern of the water bodies or calculation or valuation of the water, that what exactly is the ratio present on the earth that can be consumed. So in 1975, 3,850 cubic kilometer per year was the consumption of the water, and in the 2000 that reached up to 6,000, and now we are far ahead than 2000. So we can easily take out an evaluation, or we can do the calculation part, that how much the usage has been increased. So a dripping tap waste. So as we are discussing the calculation of the water part, whatever was to be used till 1975, then in 2000, and we know that water is being used in extra, or it is being overused. The apt word will be overuse. So in the terms of overuse, sometimes we neglect the wastage of the water from the leakage of the taps also. So if we consider that calculation as well, a dripping tap wastes 1200 liters of water in a year. So in here we are talking about a dripping tap. So India is a vast nation. So consider, just give a thought that how many taps are present all over India. What if roughly if we count 100 taps, and out of 100, 90 have started dripping. So how much water is being wasted? Just for the roughly calculation part. Water use. So human use water, huge amount of water for various purposes, for drinking, washing, production process within the industries, agriculture for the irrigation part, again for the industries, then to generate electricity from the water. So these are the common usages, but there are reasons for the fresh water shortages along with those reasons, because those are the usages of the water where we do sometimes overuse the water, exploit our fresh water resources as well. So drying up of the water resources is also one of the reason that the fresh water shortage is being experienced from nowadays, from since a decade to be considered. Along with that, population growth is responsible. Rising demand with the population growth for food and cash crops, then urbanization and living standards of the life, maintaining huge lawns, keeping multiple vehicles for the washing part. So there are unanimous concern for the usage, or actually for the overusage of the freshwater resources that are present on the Earth's surface. And we know that we do have scarcity of water because in total, all over the earth, hardly 1% of the fresh water is available for our use. So we should be more prominent and more concerned about the usage of the freshwater sources. Problems of water availability, there is scarcity of water. We know for what part, as we just have 1% of the fresh water available for the human consumption. So there is scarcity of water in many parts of the world. If we consider the scarcity, prominent regions are there, certain regions are there all over the world that do experience extreme scarcity or shortage of water, particularly the dry regions of the world. Likewise, most of Africa, West Asia, South Asia, part of Western USA, Northwest Mexico, parts of South America, and entire Australia. These are the one. So drought-prone countries face severe water scarcity. Drought-prone, where the droughts frequently occur. What is drought? So it is a concept that completely refers to the extreme scarcity or extreme shortage of the water. And sometimes the monsoon, and if we don't consider the sometime part, we can consider the majority times. Monsoon is also responsible for the occurrence of the droughts. Water shortage may result from seasonal due to the monsoon or annual precipitation variation. Overexploitation and contamination, when we do pollute the water or water sources, also causes scarcity. So reasons for the scarcity of the water: contamination of the water resources, overexploitation. Particularly, conservation of water resources. We know that we do have hardly 1% of the fresh water available on the surface that we can use, that is fit for our consumption, that is fit for humans' consumption. So we should take some initiations to conserve those water resources. So we are talking about the conservation of water resources over here. So access to clean and adequate water, sufficient amount of water for individual sources is a major problem facing the world today. Steps have to be taken to conserve the water resources or related to this dwindling. That is almost a vulnerable resource. Even though water is renewable resource, its overuse and pollution make it unfit for our use. So whatever 1% is present with us, I'm talking about the percentage of the water amount or availability of the fresh water that we are consuming. We are overusing them, we are polluting them, that again make it unfit for our consumption. And the concerns for the water pollution, that how we are, of course, overuse comes in the conservation part, that we have to be a bit curious about this concern, that okay, we are overusing the water resources, we are polluting the water resources. So overuse is quite a common thing, we can easily understand, but within the water pollution factors, there are certain responsible reasons. So here are those: untreated or partially treated sewage water that is being released in the open water bodies, or that is being released in the open. And what if it's not being released in the water body? It will seep through the earth surface, through the soil, and ultimately it is going to add up within the groundwater while polluting it. So agriculture chemicals. So whenever we are using artificial fertilizers, pesticides for the agriculture, for the more production of the agricultural produces, this particular chemical part of the fertilizers and pesticides, it is being washed away by the monsoon. We are talking about the rainy season. So whenever rain occurs, these pesticides and the fertilizers are being washed away by the water, and again either it seeps through the soil or it is being added into the open water bodies, that leads to the pollution itself. Industrial effluents, they are also being released within the open water bodies. Particularly, we can see this kind of industrial effluents to be added within the water body in the industrial cities, major industrial regions. They pollute water with nitrates. So these are the pollutants, metals and pesticides. Most of these chemicals are non-biodegradable. So it means they don't decompose. They sustain as they are, or whatever their existence form is. It reaches human bodies through the water. Whenever we are consuming that particular water of the a certain water body where these effluents are being released, and we don't know exactly. So we are talking about the water. It reach human bodies through the water, whatever water we do consume. Doesn't matter how much we are taking care for the purification process, certain pollutants are there that they still enter the human body and make us sick and ill. Talking about this image, you can clearly see this is a river or a water body, whatever you consider a small river, a huge river, and this is the image of river Yamuna that is getting polluted due to the sewage water that is being released, and this is the flow of the main river. So now when the sewage water is going to be added on its own, of course, we are not leading it to the river. The water body finds its passage onto its own to get added up in the main river flow. So that is how the rivers are being polluted. Measures. Now we know that there are certain pollutants, and we know the reasons how the water can be polluted or is being polluted. So we have to conserve it. So there are some measures through which, or by following them, we can conserve our water that is unfit for use and that we can make it fit. So measures for water conservation and pollution control. So we should treat industrial effluents before releasing them into the water bodies to control pollution. Forest and vegetation reduce runoff and replenish groundwater. So we should not go for the deforestation part. Water harvesting saves surface runoff. We can save the water. Line canals to prevent seepage losses. So these are few points that can be considered. Along with that, sprinklers reduce water loss during the irrigation instead of releasing the water and need not necessary amounts. Likewise, sprinkler system can be used to save the water. And the sprinkler system, drip irrigation. So these are certain methods that reduces the overuse of water or water wastage part. Likewise, drip trickle irrigation is effective in the dry areas with high evaporation. So more the open water will be released within the open. It's going to evaporate because of the high temperatures. So to reduce that evaporation part, we can use sprinkler, drip or trickle irrigation system. Finally, for the conservation part of the water, whatever fresh water is being received by the earth through precipitation, it can be conserved, it can be collected for the usage within the time when there is to be the scarcity or shortage of water for anyhow reasons. So that particular process is rainwater harvesting. Nowadays, and if we consider a decade also, it won't be incorrect that since a decade, that is what I do have the information with me. Certain states, and particularly I'm talking about the southern states. So certain states have made this mandatory, whether they are in construction business or, if an individual is going to construct their houses, they have to adopt the rainwater harvesting method with the help of roof water harvesting or rooftop harvesting. So they have to make such kind of systems or arrangements through which they can harvest the rainwater that is being received by the rooftop, whether of the individual house, whether of the multiple stories. So rainwater harvesting, collecting rainwater from rooftop for storage and for future use whenever there is to be the scarcity, shortage, or anyhow whenever the water is required. On an average, a 2-hour rain spell can save 8,000 liters of water. So if a dripping tap is wasting 1,200 liters of the water, the 2 hours of splendid rain can save us 8,000 liters of water. So we can, replace the dripping concern with the conservation part. So if knowingly, unknowingly, any dripping tap is, out there, we can cover up that loss of the water while saving this 8,000 liters of water with the help of just 2 hours of rain. So that was all about the concept of water. So in whole, as an overview or the learning outcome of today's class particularly, we have discussed about the entire concept of water. We have discussed the reasons responsible for the water pollution, and of course we have discussed some prominent concerns through which we can protect our water, we can conserve our water that is fit for the human consumption. So now it's the time to recall the questions, or recall actually the topic that we have discussed today with the help of few questions, and that are always to be 2 or 3. So here's the first question. Which process ensures the constant, regular recycling of water on the earth? Of course, if we are talking about the recycling, so we are going to pick up the answer, water cycle itself. Which of the following is a major cause of water pollution? Drip irrigation is not the cause, rainwater harvesting is not the cause, even mulching is not there. Agricultural chemicals, usage of pesticides and fertilizers that are being washed away by the rainwater. Lastly, what is the method of collecting rainwater from rooftops called? So it is called rainwater harvesting method. So that's all for today's class. See you soon with the upcoming topic of our going on chapter number 2 itself. So till then, take care. Keep focusing on to your studies. Bye-bye.